We all understand the type of climate that we're dealing with. We're dealing with multiple offer situations.
I'd love to know sort of what's your why? What makes you tick? Why are you so successful?
Have a dialogue with your lawyer. Have a dialogue with your agent.
Both sort of passionate about sort of what we do.
Again, vet your agent to make sure that they're experienced and they're local. I like that idea.
No excuse to miss it on Saturdays from 8 to 9.
That's right.
WBZ.
And now, the show that gives you the latest and most relevant housing market news. Real Estate Radio Boston with financial expert Rick Shearer and legal professional Ali Alavi.
To what extent does a seller have an obligation to disclose in the event something supernatural may exist in the house?
Well, when we talk about supernatural, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in its laws, have the term paranormal activity.
Yes.
In other words, the Commonwealth has acknowledged the existence of ghosts. And therefore, if you have a ghost in the house, do you need to disclose that or not?
That's the question.
That's the question. Well, it depends. As you know, we ask two attorneys the same question, you get 4 answers. It depends. Is the seller obligated to disclose a ghost? No. They're not obligated to disclose up front whether there was a ghost on the property, a suicide on the property, a homicide on the property, death on the property. They're not required to disclose it. However, much like the Bill Clinton rule, don't ask, don't tell, if you're asked, then you must tell.
If the seller volunteers that information to their own agent, is that agent now obligated to share that information with the consumer, or do they have to wait until they're asked?
Same rule.
Same rule.
If the seller says disclose it, then the listing agent discloses it to everyone. If the seller says wait until they ask, then a buyer or through their buyer agent can ask if there is a ghost, death on the property, etc., and then they have to tell the truth.
We briefly talked about TRID, and I know that your organization has come out with an addendum to be able to address that. Just quickly tell us about what's the organization's attitude and approach towards this.
We actually, and thank you for the compliment about the agents being educated out there. We spent a lot of time over the last few months educating the agents to the new TRID rules, and we did come out with an addendum to allow the agent to explain what TRID is to the buyer, and to have the buyer decide whether or not they wanted to use that addendum in case a continuance needs to happen during the closing when you get to that 3-day period.
Right.
And it puts some procedures in place ahead of time. And then, of course, it needs to go to the seller, and the seller needs to decide.
Right.
And most importantly, what I want to emphasize is, in all occasions, if you don't understand that addendum, you need to talk to your own attorneys.
I agree with that.
They need to advise.
Tell us a little bit about your company, and I know you're a principal and you've got some agents out of your office. Tell us a little bit about your situation.
Sure. So we started about 5 years ago, and my goal was to create a place that kind of catered a little bit more to the clientele in Cambridge, especially a lot of the new clientele.
Right.
We call them nerds and CEOs, people that work in pharmaceuticals and Google and Microsoft, and we thought we could really connect with them if we have a startup mentality.
Right.
So we have about a dozen agents, a couple extra maybe, and we really try to cater to this market.
How do you set expectations for your clients, be it buyers or sellers? But let's focus on buyers for a minute.
Sure. So with buyers, I like to kind of map out where the market's going. So I show them, we have an average appreciation of 10 to 15%, depends on how close you are to Harvard. Harvard is gold for whatever reason. And basically say, this market, people are aiming for next year's price or the year after's price. I mean, if you try to pinpoint it at the current market value, you'll lose the bidding war.
Right.
And again, we have anywhere from 5 to 20 offers on places.
Where would you say the investor should be making their investment? What's the next up-and-coming area?
Wow, putting me on the spot here.
Of course I am.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this beforehand.
I mean, it's probably places that haven't gentrified yet that are on the subway systems.
Right.
Places like Ashmont Station down in Dorchester, traditionally was not a place that people in pharmaceuticals went to. But that place is really cleaned up. A lot of gentrification there. There's also a lot of issues behind that. But, I think it's going to be along the T stations. Like right now we have North Somerville gentrifying as well. And I think that's where I would point to, probably southern edge of Boston.
You're going through a whirlwind of speaking engagements, and I know that your new book, It's Your Move, that came out this past September, has just made it to a bestsellers list last week, I think.
Yep.
So tell us about what's going on. Give us
so it's been a wild ride. Let me tell you, season 8 of $1 Million Listing is on right now. Having a very successful season. People, tuning in more than ever on the show. It's my 5th year, so that's going great.
That's awesome.
And my book called It's Your Move just launched last week, and that's been a wild ride. I've been promoting it all over the country, and that's really a passion project that I worked on for the past year and a half that I'm really excited about. My way of kind of giving back to the business world and putting it out there where people can learn how I did it, learn from my mistakes, and also some personal stories in there as well, so you can see the other side of me than what you just see on the television.
What I like about the book is it's not age restricted. I think it sort of touches on some very pertinent advice that essentially any and all age groups can take advantage of.
Yeah, that, and it's not just for realtors either, which I wanted to make sure that it was something that transcends between any business, not just real estate, although some of the stories in there are about some amazing real estate deals and amazing celebrity stories. But I'm really proud of it. I really am, and the fact that it was a bestseller is just, that's not even something I care about. That's not why I did it, but it's just awesome, and we're having a blast doing the press tour.
First and foremost, you're a Newton kid. You're right here. You went to high school here. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you went from being a Newton kid to crushing it in real estate out in California.
Yeah, so born and raised Newton, Newton, Massachusetts. I went to Newton South. Had a great time growing up. I love Boston. I'm always a Boston kid at heart. Even, I tell people the only time I don't answer my phone or do business is when the Patriots are playing.
Love it.
I don't care how much your house is worth.
Right. That's dedication, my friend. That's dedication.
There you go. About 13 years ago, moved out to L.A. with my brother, and we both started in the mailroom making $7 an hour and had no idea what we were going to do. And we had saved up about $10,000. Used that money to buy a place with 100% financing, ended up flipping that place into another and another and another. And next thing you know, we're full-time real estate investors. Then I got into the mortgage side of the business, and then eventually got to the agent side of the business, and the rest is history. At about the time when they were looking for a new person on the show, we had just closed one of our first big deals, and we were written up in the newspaper. So they called us up, offered us the role. I went up against 100 other realtors, not even really knowing what we were in for because the show wasn't that popular at that time. And I just said, you know what? Let's do it. My mom told me not to do it, but I was like, I'm going to do it anyways. I never
Look at me, Mom, now. Look at me now.
Oh, you can bet I remind her that every time I talk to her.
Right. All of those people you've touched, just by putting the thoughts in your head and the mistakes you've made down to show people how you've already done it. Now don't do that, do this. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I wrote it. Look, if it changed one person's life, then it was worth doing. I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I wanted to inspire people. I travel all around the world, and I speak to other realtors or entrepreneurs. And my favorite thing about doing all of this is when somebody comes up to me at the end and says, I did this because of you. Or thank you so much. You gave me the confidence to do this or that, and that's really what it's all about. I'm at a point in my career we're selling $1 million a day of real estate. I got the TV show, now I got the book, and it's about making it right.